They demolished my family's bridge with a bulldozer at 6 in the morning. 80 years of history crushed to dust while a group of HOA board members stood there filming and laughing. Those stones were laid by my grandfather in 1943. What they didn't know was that I owned the only other road leading into their gated community. 85 homes, one road, and I was about to turn their morning commute into a masterclass in property law. My name's Garrett Sullivan. I'm 54, a civil engineer by trade, semi-retired now. I live on a 127-acre piece of land in rural Pennsylvania that's been in my family since 1938. My grandfather, Pop Sullivan, built that bridge by hand. Stone foundation pulled from the creek timber. Milled himself, iron brackets forged at the local blacksmith. It wasn't just a bridge. It was a legacy. I grew up fishing under it, helping my dad replace planks, hearing Pop's voice every time I drove across it. Build something right. It outlasts you. That bridge was the last piece of him I had. Then came Meadowbrook Estates' 85 shiny new houses and an HOA that thought it ran the county. They'd built on the old Kowalik farm next door. I let them run a sewage line through my property during construction. Legal recorded, paid for. Thought that would be the end of it. Then I met Darlene Pritchett. 62, bleached Bob Tesla driver, monogrammed everything. She'd been HOA president for about 3 weeks when she knocked on my door unannounced, holding a certified letter like a weapon. "Mr. Sullivan," she said, smiling like she was talking to a toddler, "you have 30 days to remove that old bridge. It's an eyesore and a flood hazard per our environmental study." I read it twice. "Ma'am, that bridge is entirely on my land. Your HOA has no jurisdiction here." She tilted her head, all sugar and superiority. "We have documentation showing it's abandoned county infrastructure. We're just asking you to comply." "Your study," I said, "was written by a landscaping company. Not one engineer signature on it." The smile dropped half an inch. "We'll follow up through proper channels." She turned and left. I figured that was the end of it. A week later, I woke to the sound of diesel engines. 6:04 a.m. I ran outside, boxers, boots, no shirt, and there it was. A bulldozer tearing through Pop's bridge. Stones splitting timbers, cracking the creek, filling with dust and smoke. I screamed at the operator, "Stop! That's private property." He waved me off. "Lady," said, "it's county demo." Behind him, 3 SUVs parked on my access road, Darlene and her 2 board members filming one of them laughing. When the sheriff finally showed up, the bridge was gone. Darlene handed the deputy a folder like it was paperwork for a bake sale. "Officer, we removed a hazard. We actually saved the county a lawsuit." The deputy called it a civil matter. No arrests, just a report. I stood there in the dust in my underwear and realized she didn't see me as a neighbor. She saw me as an obstacle. Something to bulldoze. That night, sitting on the porch watching the creek run muddy, I made a decision. If Darlene wanted to play games with property rights, fine. I'd show her what a civil engineer can do when you push him too far. The next morning, I called my old friend Mitch Kowalski, small-town lawyer, good guy knows land disputes like the back of his hand. He looked at the photos, shook his head, said, "Garrett, this is the cleanest-cut case of property destruction I've seen in 20 years. We filed a lawsuit for $78,000 in damages." Her lawyers hit back hard, claiming my bridge had been in public use so long it was now county property. Something called adverse possession. Mitch actually laughed. They didn't read the rules. That only applies if you stopped maintaining it. You've got 30 years of receipts proving otherwise. And I did. Every plank, every can of sealant, every tax bill listing the bridge as part of my property. Their counterclaim got thrown out in 3 weeks. I thought maybe that'd humble her. It didn't. The HOA hired a Pittsburgh law firm with marble floors and $250 an hour lawyers. They filed a motion saying my lawsuit was frivolous, demanded $50,000 in illegal fees, and sent a settlement offer, drop everything, and they'd donate $5,000 to a veterans fund in my grandfather's name. $5,000, after they flattened his work in 40 minutes. I told Mitch, tell them no. That's when the real harassment started. HOA posts calling me unstable neighbors, gossiping that I was some angry widower blocking community improvements. People I'd never met calling me selfish, broken. It stung. I won't lie. I even asked myself, am I the crazy one? Am I fighting over stones? Then my phone rang. Rosalie, a friend who works in the county planning office. She whispered, "Garrett, you didn't hear this from me, but Darlene's been getting permits pushed through by Commissioner Gisham. Fast. Too fast. They're dating. They even bought a condo together in Florida." That snapped me out of my pity spiral. If corruption was her game, I knew exactly how to play it. I dug through county records, easements, zoning variances, permits. Found gold. Meadowbrook's sewage system had conditional approval that expired 14 months ago. No renewal. Operating illegally. Signed off conveniently by Darlene's boyfriend. I called a friend, Brianna, an environmental engineer. She said if they're still running on an expired permit, they're in violation. Once it's flagged, the state sends inspectors. If they fail, they shut the system down. Homeowners would have to pay $400 a month for sewage trucks. I mailed the complaint the next morning. 2 days later, I got 3 code violation citations. Unlicensed junk vehicle, my dad's old pickup, unsecured burn pile. No trespassing signs too tall. Each carried a daily fine. I called the young inspector. He admitted, "Mr. Sullivan, I was told to document everything on your property. Wouldn't say by who." He didn't have to. Darlene was bleeding me by paperwork, but I wasn't alone anymore. That Sunday, a man knocked on my door, mid-50s, nervous. "Mr. Sullivan, I'm Ken Ashford, Meadowbrook's treasurer. I need to show you something." He laid out bank statements, invoices, meeting minutes, all forged. Darlene had paid herself $4,000 a month in consulting fees and used HOA funds to pay for my bridge's demolition. I asked, "Why are you showing me this?" He sighed. "Because she fined my wife $500 for planting the wrong color roses. I'm done being afraid." That night, I called Andrea Walsh, a local journalist who covered county corruption. She met me at a diner, took notes, asked for proof. I handed her the folder. 5 days later, her article hit. County Commissioner linked to HOA President permits fast-tracked funds misused. Within 48 hours, the Ethics Board opened an investigation. Darlene stopped posting. The county started calling me instead of her. For the first time since that bulldozer showed up, I felt the tide turning. Then I remembered something: Old Mill Road, the narrow 2-lane that runs through my property straight into Meadowbrook. I pulled the original 1952 deed. Guess what never transferred to the county? That road was mine. I filed notice public access withdrawn in 30 days. Within hours, the phones exploded. Township, fire department, county engineers all panicking. "Mr. Sullivan, that's their only secondary emergency route." "Not my problem," I said. "It's private property. Check the deed." By noon, the media had it. Homeowner owns only road into gated community. Andrea called Laughing Garrett, "This is poetic justice." It was, until someone decided to get dirty again. A week later, 2:30 a.m. I woke to the sound of chainsaws, not far on my land. I grabbed my phone and ran outside. 2 men cutting down 60-year-old oaks along Old Mill Road, dropping them across the pavement. When I yelled, they bolted, jumped into a white pickup. I caught the plate and filmed everything. The sheriff ran the rental, paid with a credit card belonging to Marcus Pritchett, Darlene's son. We could have pressed charges, but Mitch said no. Save it for mediation. Show it to everyone at once. Let her hang herself. So I waited. Meanwhile, Andrea published Ken's second set of documents, the embezzlement proof. It blew up. Residents revolted. Emergency HOA meeting. Darlene screamed about political attacks. Nobody believed her. The board voted 4-1 to remove her as president. She walked out under a hail of angry shouts. 2 days later came the township mediation, public televised, standing room only. I sat at one table with Mitch. Across from me, Darlene looked smaller somehow, hair flat, eyes hollow. When they gave me the floor, I didn't need notes. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when power goes unchecked." I clicked Mitch's laptop. Photos filled the screen. My bridge before then, during demolition. Darlene standing there, phone raised, smiling. April 16th. 6:04 a.m. This bridge. My grandfather's work was destroyed without permit, without notice, without authority. I showed the Facebook posts calling me unstable, the bogus code citations. Then I played the video chainsaws in the dark men fleeing rental truck registered to her son. I said quietly, I haven't pressed charges. I'm not after revenge. I want justice. Then I dropped the bomb. Old Mill Road. The one your community uses daily. It's private, always has been. And your utility easement expired 14 months ago. You've been running sewage and power across my land illegally. You could feel the air leave the room. I could close that road tomorrow, I said. Cut power and sewage in 30 days. But I won't, because innocent families shouldn't suffer for one person's arrogance. Here's what I want instead. I laid out the terms: $78,000 in damages, full reconstruction of the bridge to historical standards, written apology published 2 weeks in the local Gazette, a 20-year easement at $500 a month, and an end to all harassment. Those are my terms. I finished. Or I shut the road. The room erupted, reporters shouting, residents yelling, board members whispering frantically. The supervisors called a recess. Darlene huddled with her lawyer, pale and shaking. When we reconvened, the interim HOA president stood and said, voice tight, Mr. Sullivan, the board accepts all terms. On behalf of the community, we apologize. Supervisor Chen looked at Darlene. Do you have anything to add? She stood, stared at the table, and muttered, I acted in the community's best interests. No apology, no remorse, just the last gasp of pride before the fall. Chen nodded. Terms accepted. Mediation concluded. The place exploded again, cameras flashing, residents talking over each other. Darlene walked out alone. Nobody followed her. I sat still, hands steady, breathing slow. Outside, under the parking lot lights, Mitch said quietly, Garrett, I've been a lawyer 30 years. Never seen someone dismantle an opponent that completely without raising his voice. I looked up at the night sky and said I didn't dismantle her. She did that herself. I just showed everyone the receipts. And that's the thing about bullies in positions of power, they always think you won't fight back. But when you do, when you fight smart, steady, and legal, their own arrogance is what buries them.